In this video, we're going to review aspects of the first chapter, text, that are maybe not as intuitive than just here's a C or a D on the keyboard, and also here's how we read notes on the staff. There's details that in an academic setting we want to know a little deeper. So the first one is the keyboard layout. Now, if you have watched the other video on keyboard layout, or you already know how the piano works, then you already know how to name all these notes here. So you have the C, and then the next white note is D, and so on. And go back and review that video if you're not sure about that. But here's the concept that we want to understand with more academic theory, is that we have octave numbers. So if you go to the very, very beginning of an 88 key piano and go all the way down, the first note is A, and the next note is B, and then the next note is C. And we call that first C, C1, or the first C on the piano. And then all these other next notes are D1, E1, F1, G1, A1, B1. And then when we get to C, the next one we call it C2. So C is the marker place for octave register. And you can see if I change this angle just a little bit on the camera. Maybe that'll be okay. You can see here at the bottom of your text, they show you that. So here's middle C on the piano, the C4, and the note just to the left of it lower is in the 3 octave, because these are all 3 notes, and these are all going to be 4s, and then we get to here is C5. The middle C on the piano is C4. An easy way to remember that, if you know what C4 is from movies and things, it's this plastic explosive, and think of it like all the other notes explode away from there, C4. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of exercise work so that you know that you're doing that right. Okay, you should also be able to transfer that to staff notation. So for instance, if I'm in a grand staff right here, treble and bass, I should know that that's C4 and that's D4, like that. Also, if I'm in the bass clef over here, then that's also C4. And then as we go down, that's B3, and so on. Okay? And there'll be some exercises checking that out. Why do we have octave numbers? Well, it's mostly so we can be very, very specific when we talk about music and say, this passage of music goes from C4 leaping up to B4 and then back down, arpeggiating down, eventually terminating in a G3 and things like that. It's so that we can talk about music passages in a more specific way, or tell each other what notes to specifically play. Okay, that's pretty easy as a concept. You'll get good at it from a few exercises. It gets a little trickier when we get to alto and tenor clef. Okay, notation on the staff. There is a video that you should have watched about that. It goes over ledger lines and things like this. Not going to touch too much about this. Just know that you're going to get really, really good at the treble and bass clef this week and weekend. You should understand how it works, and you should have made, through exercises and self-practice, because everybody's different, a good attempt at getting to the point where we don't have to count those. Okay. Once that happens, and we'll continue to keep improving, because truly in your analysis work and learning how to do theory and things like that, to the degree that reading notes is effortless, makes everything else easier, because we'll be looking at real music, trying to figure it out. And to the degree that you have a problem, like there's a delay, you have to count from a place or skip lines and have a mnemonic, then everything gets slowed down by a terrible amount. So these two we're going to get really good at right now, treble and bass, that forms a grand staff. And then as you're good at these, we will slow roll these through the rest of the term and get better at alto clef and better at tenor clef, which are sort of mid-range clefs. These are actually called C clefs. There used to be a whole bunch of these in use. Now, we barely use these at all, but they do happen in many forms of art music and historical music that's important. And so then you can see here in the book, it's got some exercises, and I would do them. If you don't like marking in your book, then take a piece of stab paper or an overlay or something like that, and do that. Now,